From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, this is Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Riley Smith. In today's show, Mark wraps up his conversation with Ag Retailers Association President and CEO Daren Coppock. I have an update on South America with Greg McBride of Allendale, and special correspondent Russ Parker talks with Dr. Gretchen Paluch, Pesticide Bureau Chief at the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. Now here are your hosts, Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman.
Well, welcome into another edition of Iowa Ag Matters here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. It is President's Day, which means the markets are closed, but we will still have market information for you based on how things ended up on Friday. They'll be reopening tonight in the evening session, so we'll be back with a full throttle on those markets coming up here later. But Mark, we got some good news here. The end of the week, the House finally putting out a draft idea for the Farm Bill. Of course, you know, the Senate's going to have their version. They're going to have to get them approved. Then they're going to have to go to a conference. So, I mean, this is just because it's out doesn't mean it's a nice light at the end of the tunnel, but that tunnel's got a long way to go before we actually can step out into that light. But, you know, we're in a time right now, we've mentioned this before, that the Farm Bill should have been replaced now 3 years ago. We should be in the point right now where we're talking about replacing the Farm Bill that we still don't have, that's been dragging its feet now for a couple of years.
Certainly, and it's a new landscape as well. They're calling it Farm Bill 2.0 after they got some of the things that needed to be updated in the Farm Bill done recently, but now they need to continue on with that process because, like you said, they've been kicking the can down the road, haven't addressed fully a full Farm Bill, and so now there's still things that need to be worked out. And, of course, House Ag Committee Chairman G.T. Thompson helping to lead that charge with that write-up of the Farm Bill. So we'll see what happens now, but at least they have something in their hands.
Yeah, that they do. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. The Senate, of course, has got to get in line as well. I know Senate Leader John Thune has been very adamant about getting it done as well. Well, let's go back and take a look at how the markets closed with the closing markets from Bill Moore, Price Futures Group, talking with Riley Smith.
Bill, what have we seen going on in the grain and livestock markets today?
Not a lot. It's kind of chopping around after yesterday's frenetic activity. A little bit of a correction into the 3-day weekend, but not a lot. Actually, the corn's up up a cent or two. It's up a cent right now. Beans are only down 2. They were down at one time 14. Pretty good comeback. The wheat is down about 4 in the middle of its range. The biggest thing is the weekend. It's a holiday weekend. It's a President's Day weekend, of course, in the U.S. That means that we close today at 1:20 in about 19 minutes, and then we don't reopen until Monday night at 7 p.m. So something to keep in mind for President's Day. But also, China is on holiday. China has their Lunar New Year. They'll be off all next week. There could be some light buying from them next week. And South America's got Carnival. So it's a weekend when it seems like the whole world's taken off for a long weekend, and so we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, the big news this week was what appeared in the paper, the Chinese newspaper. It's called the South China Morning Post, a day or so back, that said that when U.S. and President Xi meet in Beijing in early April, that they're going to maybe firm up a new trade deal for the next. So it's one thing for Trump to post on his Truth Social good things about exports, but when it comes from China, that turned some heads, and the market ran with that yesterday with big rallies across the board. Wheat rallied just because it's oversold, and there's a big short open interest in wheat that they were covering, and some coldness in Russia, some ice issues. Maybe he's going to impact the Russian crop. So big update yesterday, and the market just kind of catching its breath today. It's an interesting dynamic. China buying our beans when they're so much cheaper from South America. Why would that happen? Well, they said the same thing in late October, but it happened. They lowered some tariffs between the two countries, and China ended up buying 12 million metric tons of our beans by the early January of this year. You know, it's got some teeth to it when they talk about that, and when Trump talks about that, and sure could happen again. They might have to lower some tariffs again, but that sure could happen. Even though South America is a lot cheaper, and even though China's bought a lot already. And keep in mind too, the big factor here, swing factor, in my mind, is it's the political angle. It's an election year, midterms in November. President Trump is behind in the polls. He's going to do everything he possibly can to help the farmer. He needs the farm vote, like he had, last time when he won, and that could sure help grease the path for good trade relations, less tariffs, more exports going forward in 2026. So something to keep in mind. Other than that, the only news would be market just waiting to see all this rhetoric about it, increased export from China comes to fruition, and we can start to see some sales next week or the week after. So the market will be kind of waiting on that. The exports that came out yesterday were pretty poor in the beans, 281,000 metric tons, looking for 300 to 1.17 million. Corn came out 2.07 million metric tons, a gigantic number over the range they were looking for. Corn exports just week in and week out routinely have been massive and supporting the market. Other than that, the weather in South America is a little too wet. Some of the some mold issues with the harvest. Some of the yields not kind of disappointing for South America. So we'll see if the record crop comes to fruition. I know the CONAB made the estimates earlier this week of Brazil. They had them only at 178. Now a lot of our estimators here in this country, the big companies, have got the Brazilian bean harvested 180, 180, 182. So we'll see if it comes out as big as a lot of people think. Maybe not. So that's a factor. And so going forward, two big things to look at: how the South American crop is faring and the early harvest coming on. What's going to final number be? Will it be 182 or 183 or more like 177, 178? We'll find out. That's been curbing the rallies, and underneath the support it comes from the exports, particularly strong in corn. Good example again was yesterday's sales, over 2 million metric tons, just a huge number for a week. So those are the two things in keeping the markets active, going into next week for the grains.
Spring planting starts with one smart decision. Corn Pro from Landis delivers a complete corn program with built-in savings. Nutritionals, herbicide, and fungicide, all working together in one plan backed by local expertise. Lock in competitive pricing, sign up any number of acres, and take advantage of 0% interest through 2026 to protect your cash flow. Less complexity, more performance. Get the most out of your corn crop with Corn Pro from Landis. Talk with your local Landis team today.
You're listening to the President's Day edition of Iowa Ag Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. And coming up next, we will get the latest from South America. Greg McBride of Allendale, joined by Riley Smith, next.
Back on Iowa Ag Matters, and of course our markets are closed, but obviously farming continues around the world, especially in South America and Brazil and Argentina, where they are hard at it with the harvest and replanting the next growing season's crops. We get more with Greg McBride of Allendale talking with Riley.
And then speaking of the conditions in South America, what's the latest weather update we have for down there?
All right, so we've been talking about some of the excuse me. We've been talking about some of the dryness in southern Brazil. The 1 to 5 day forecast leads us to see no issues in southern Brazil. Also, some of the dryness that's coming across Argentina, that looks like there's some decent rains in the very short term 1 to 5 day forecast as well. Looking out to the 6 to 10 day forecast, things do dry out a little bit. You see some areas of central and eastern Argentina that are on the drier side, but you do get some of those rains hitting across maybe the further western portions of the growing region. So any rain they get at this time will be helpful and beneficial. It's just we'd like to see it move it a little bit further to the east than where it sits right now.
And then how is that crop progress looking in Brazil as well?
So on the soybean harvest, pretty well in line with last year and the 5-year average. We're just slightly behind, sitting at 13% harvested. You've got Mato Grosso, which is the big one, at 35% complete. Paraná is sitting at 23. The others are just getting started. So the two big ones that usually plant the earliest are furthest along. The 5-year average puts you at about 17%. When you go and look at the corn side of things, that first corn harvest sitting at 17%, it is still behind the last year in the 5-year average. Rio Grande do Sul and Santa Catarina are the two big ones that are harvesting. They're between a quarter and a half of the way done with their harvest at this point, but they are still about 5% overall behind the 5-year average. And then looking at that second crop, the safrinha corn that comes in, that is planting at about 13% completed so far. That's in line, just slightly behind the 5-year average, but way behind the where we are at for last year. They were already at 22% planted at this point last year.
All right, Greg, lots of great information today. For anyone who would like to get in touch for more marketing information from Allendale, how can they do that?
Give us a call at 800-2-MARKET. That's 800-262-7538.
Stay up to date with the latest in the ag industry with Agribusiness Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Each weekday, we bring you the latest advancements in farming, from new precision ag technology to cutting-edge sustainable farming practices. Agribusiness Matters is also your source for the most relevant ag news, policy discussions, and insights that are shaping the future of agriculture. Tune in to Agribusiness Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Your local radio station brings you the local news you depend on. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network complements that with ag news, weather, and market updates tailored for Iowa's farmers. Together, we deliver the best of both worlds, local connection and industry expertise. It's all to keep you connected with the heartbeat of the heartland. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, connecting rural Iowa with the news that matters to you.
You can find all of our daily news stories anytime online at iowaagnet.com. And when you visit our website, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter that delivers those 5 daily stories to your inbox each day. Coming up next, we will have the Basis Report with Dustin Huffman. You're listening to Iowa Ag Matters here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Again, find all of our online information anytime at iowaagnet.com.
It is time to run down the basis bids here on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Of course, we know the markets are closed today for the President's Day holiday, but not all the elevators are closed. Of course, you're going to want to double check with those elevators before you try to make any sales today, just to make sure they are running business as usual. Let's take a look at where they're bidding. At IAM Burlington, they're 11 cents under on corn at $4.20. Soybeans 14 cents under at $11.19. Cargill and Eddyville, 15 cents under on corn, $4.16 for the cash bid. New Co-op Algona, 31 cents under on corn, $4 even. Soybeans 70 cents under at $10.63 for the cash price. Ag State Sheldon, 18 cents under on corn, $4.13. Soybeans 75 cents under at $10.58. At Ag State in Elta, they are 37 cents under on corn, cash bid $3.94. Soybeans 65 cents under, $10.68. At Cargill Cedar Rapids, are 14 cents under on corn, $4.17. Soybeans 45 cents under, $10.88 for the cash bid. 5-Star Co-op Nashua, 22 cents under on corn, $4.09. Soybeans 60 cents under, $10.73. Lincoln Way Energy Nevada, 19 cents under on corn, $4.12 for the cash bid. ADM Des Moines, they're 50 cents under on soybeans. The cash bid there, $10.83. At New Co-op Red Oak, they're 28 cents under on corn, $4.03. Soybeans 75 cents under, $10.58. At Mid-Iowa Cooperative Green Mountain, they're 36 cents under on corn, cash bid $3.95. Soybeans 80 cents under at $10.53. At New Co-op Sheraton, they're 32 cents under on corn, $3.99. Soybeans 75 cents under. They're at $10.58 for the cash bid. At Walk-On Feed Ranch, they're 38 cents under on corn, $3.93. Soybeans 70 cents under, $10.63. New Co-op Glidden, 30 cents under on corn, $4.01 for the cash bid. Soybeans 70 cents under, $10.63. Innovative Ag Farley, 39 cents under on corn, $3.92. Soybeans, 70 cents under. Cash bid, $10.63. And at Cargill Muscatine, they're closed for the season. They'll reopen and start taking deliveries once again the week of March 23rd. Cash corn and soybean bids are subject to change without notice. Always check with your local elevator when making sales to obtain the most recent price. With this check-your basis report on Iowa Ag Matters on this Monday, President's Day, I'm Dustin Huffman. We'll be right back.
Your local radio station keeps you connected to your community. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network provides ag-focused programming to keep your farm business running strong. Together, we bring you the latest markets, weather updates, and policy news. Whether we're in the field or in meeting halls, our team is always out and about gathering the news that's important to you. Powered by Iowa Agriculture, trusted by Iowa farmers. This message from your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
We got lots more coming up here on Iowa Ag Matters. Even with the markets closed, we keep pushing along. We'll have a look at some more farm news and much more. You're listening to the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. You can find all our content online as well as full replays of this very show under the podcast tab at iowaagnet.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Iowa Ag Matters here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it is time now for Russ Parker, special correspondent's conversation to continue with Gretchen Paluch. That's here on Iowa Ag Matters.
So maybe a little different question, and you can answer this or not. But what do you think are some of the biggest challenges from a pesticide perspective going forward for Iowa producers and Iowa applicators?
So what I think really came out of the meeting today and the discussion, I do think are really good points. And there was a lot of talk about reducing drift, trying to keep that pesticide on the field of application. So you want to follow those label directions to keep it on the field. So minimizing drift is absolutely essential, and that's something that really came out today. In addition to that, the other main area is reducing runoff or soil erosion. That's another area that, well, really both minimizing drift and runoff, soil erosion. Those are areas that we've been working on for quite some time, and those are the big challenges, I think.
You also made some comments about the Endangered Species Act and how you've kind of researched that over time. And I thought your comments were really interesting. Maybe if at this, risk of repeating yourself, but tell us a little bit about, what these points of discovery really are.
So it's interesting. If an EPA is the one to look at, because they've really been the ones that have been doing a lot of work looking at how to implement Endangered Species Act as part of their agency actions, and also what to do programmatically. And it's trickled down to the states. And this is something that's been worked on. I've probably been involved in it for a couple years now, working with different groups, emphasizing, some of those, the effort to reduce the amount of pesticide exposure to vulnerable species, their food sources, their critical habitat. That's the effort. And what's been going on is EPA has put forth a number of different strategies. You can, on their website, see that they're grouped by different classification of pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, and such. And they are pretty comprehensive strategies. So there's been a lot of work that's been going on over the years. And so we've been following that. And what it means, well, that's when you look at the pesticide label. So what is the end result of those strategies, and what is EPA doing with those? They are putting them onto pesticide labels, and so that's what we have. That's kind of one of the updates. An example came out last Friday of implementing that herbicide strategy, and so we're looking at those and going back around. It comes back to reducing drift and minimizing runoff and soil erosion. That's kind of where a lot of those efforts are being focused.
And this is all data-based. I mean, this is not willy-nilly grab it out of the air. This is lots and lots of research.
So EPA is where a lot of that's happening, and they're the ones coming up with those strategies. And yes, they do have a number of folks working in their program offices looking to address those types of questions. So they are, yes, there's a science-based process there.
So am I missing anything? Anything else that you want to add or?
Well, I would just add kind of as a final note is, and this also came out, I think, at the end of the discussion today, is that, yes, there are these new areas on pesticide labels, but now's the time to make sure you're reading through them. They're talking about a couple new things. Make sure you're familiar and comfortable with that Bulletins Live 2 website. You also want to be familiar with EPA's mitigation menu. So there are points that you're looking to reach in order to reduce drift, minimize runoff and soil erosion. Those are new things that you want to make sure you're familiar with. But as you go through that, don't forget that, at least for the applicators in Iowa, these are areas we are familiar with. We've been doing practices. There's a lot of best management practices in place. We still want to reduce these things. So that is still the same emphasis. So I've been through a couple of years where it feels a little overwhelming, but again, go back to those best management practices, things that have already been here the whole time.
I'm with Dr. Gretchen Paluch. We are at the Agribusiness Association of Iowa's showcase. And Dr. Paluch, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it is President's Day, and of course, here on Iowa Ag Matters, that means, Dustin, it is your time to shine. And for our newer listeners to the show that maybe don't know, you have a bobblehead collection of most of. Do we have all of the presidents?
They are all there now as of Christmas. All 47 of them are now on my shelf, all of them, yes. So I added Chester A. Arthur was the last one that got put into the position. He was one of them that came out around the holidays. And so, yeah. In fact, the only president I share a birthday with, Mark.
Which of those presidents in there, we're talking in your office here at work, by the way, you have all of them displayed. They all have their own individual case. Which one has the most accessories, or which one is the most individually different from all of the other bobbleheads? Is there one that's got a lot of accessories going on?
Well, there's a few of them that have accessories. Obviously some of them had military careers, so like your Teddy Roosevelt, George Washington, Andrew Jackson. They all have their sabers, the military sabers. FDR has a removable cigarette in case you don't want to show that he actually smoked. A couple of them have canes, top hats, things like that. But yeah, a couple of them have some really interesting accessories in there, Mark.
And now that you have them all, Dustin, I have to ask as well, what was the first one you got? Did you start with George Washington, or did you start at a different point?
George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were my first two. So, and then it just kind of went from there. They didn't put them out in order, the company that made them. They didn't put them out in any kind of order. So that's why Chester A. Arthur, the 21st president, was actually the last one I put into the collection.
And so now I'm assuming from this point forward, you're pretty much locked in. You just have to get every single new president and add them to the collection going forward, right?
Yeah. And I've been doing this for 10 years. And that's what I've been saying is now I've got to wait 2.5 years or so before I can think about adding another one. So it's going to be a little boring and quiet around here, but you guys are going to be probably happy that there's no more bobblehead boxes showing up at the office. More Iowa Ag Matters in a moment.
Spring planting starts with one smart decision. Corn Pro from Landis delivers a complete corn program with built-in savings. Nutritionals, herbicide, and fungicide, all working together in one plan backed by local expertise. Lock in competitive pricing, sign up any number of acres, and take advantage of 0% interest through 2026 to protect your cash flow. Less complexity, more performance. Get the most out of your corn crop with Corn Pro from Landis. Talk with your local Landis team today.
Well, of course, as we've been mentioning, the markets are closed today for the holiday, but we do have an update on how things shook out here throughout the trading day on Friday, and we'll get another update coming up next here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. You can find our content online at iowaagnet.com.
This is the Midday Market Update on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson. Markets are closed today in observance of the President's Day holiday. Here's Ethan Robson of agmarket.net with how the grains closed on Friday.
Definitely has been an interesting week market-wise. Soybeans, just most of the markets in general, took a little bit of defensive tone going into the 3-day weekend. Reminder, no trade Monday due to President's Day. Open back up Monday night, rocking and rolling. Corn market today, a little bit quiet, trading both sides of unchanged. March ended up a half cent, 431 3/4. May was unchanged there. Soybeans been the big mover this week. March soybeans ended up being down today, 2.5 cents, 1134 3/4. Off the lows too, so good to see us be able to claw back there. It's definitely an interesting time because it all has been rumors. I mean, we saw President Trump's True Social post is what started the incline for the soybean market. Saw some interesting commentary out of a newspaper in China yesterday or 2 days ago, confirming that they're excited or planning President Trump's arrival in China. But besides that, relatively quiet as far as U.S.-China relations there. U.S. and Taiwan actually signed a trade deal earlier today or last night too. Going to be interesting to see how that affects U.S.-China relationships, and so far, no other comments from U.S. officials from that. April contract live cattle down to 240.62.5 there. Feeder cattle relatively down in the front months, up in the deferreds, 363.45 in the April contract. Lean hogs taking it on the chin the last week too. That April contract down 55, May contract down 75 at 95.30. 3-day weekend managed money coming in, looking at their positions, just trying to decide, take some risk off of the table. We all know you never know what could happen 3 days weekends, especially on Friday the 13th as well. So managed money just trying to manage the risk there.
That was Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. We will have a check of the numbers next.
Farmers, stay on top of your local market with Basis Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Every day, we bring you the latest corn and soybean cash prices from inland grain elevators and river terminals across Iowa. Get the prices you need to make the best-selling decisions, no matter where you are in the state. Basis Matters connects you to the numbers that matter most to your farm. Tune in every weekday only on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and make informed grain marketing decisions with Basis Matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Markets are closed today for the President's Day holiday. Here's how the markets closed on Friday. March corn up a half cent at 431 3/4. March soybeans down 4 1/4 at 11.33 even. March soybean meal up $1.30 at 309.20. March soybean oil down 46 cents at 57.08. On the Merc, April live cattle down 3 cents at 240.63. March feeder cattle up 43 cents at 366.15. April lean hogs down 55 cents at 91.28. April pork cutout unchanged at 103.40.
That was a check of the midday markets on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson.
Well, we are going to get back into some of the markets, taking a look at what happened on the livestock side of things as the markets closed on Friday ahead of this 3-day weekend. Bill Moore, Price Futures Group, coming back with Riley Smith, talking more about what happened in the livestock side of things.
Livestock-wise, it's been a tale of two cities. Cattle market, I think, is having a good day. Last time I checked, it's closed by now. It ended up unchanged. It did a lot of roaming around. At one time, the market was up $1. It ended up closing unchanged. The hog market was down 50 cents. If you look at the chart of April cattle, the front month now, what you'll see is a market that has rallied hard since late November. It's come up $30 to $35, and it's holding the top of that range into the month of February. Again, the fundamentals are really exemplary in cattle. The numbers are down. The cattle herd, as we know, is at a 75-year low. Hard to believe. The meat stocks off the cold storage report last week showed the lowest level in 2009. The exports are good. Cash is strong. Cattle is going to keep going higher. I think people like their steaks and their burgers. And I think cattle market continues to move higher. And even though the hog market is had a pretty good break here in the last 2 weeks, I think meat prices will pull pork prices up, both of them going higher through the end of this month.
All right, Bill, lots of great information today. For anyone who'd like to get in touch for more marketing information and check out your newsletter, how can they do that?
630-947-5176. wmore@pricegroup.com. Check out my newsletter, Agmaster, or www.pricegroup.com, the company website. Look at the bios of Jack Scoville and myself. We've both been there a long time. We'd love to help you out.
Stay up to date with the latest in the ag industry with Agribusiness Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Each weekday, we bring you the latest advancements in farming, from new precision ag technology to cutting-edge sustainable farming practices. Agribusiness Matters is also your source for the most relevant ag news, policy discussions, and insights that are shaping the future of agriculture. Tune in to Agribusiness Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
In rural Iowa, we know you're sold on your local radio station. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network partners with local Iowa stations to deliver the latest in agriculture news, including grain elevator prices, market reports, and ag policy news. Trusted local voices, trusted ag content. This message is brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Well, last week it was the Agribusiness Association of Iowa's showcase, and that was held in Altoona at Prairie Meadows. And one of the people that I spoke with was Daren Coppock, the president and CEO of the Ag Retailers Association. And Daren talked about the relationship between ag retailers and their farmer customers, and those important relationships that are built over the years.
Well, last week, as we wrapped up Iowa Ag Matters, Mark was having an interesting discussion about the relationship between ag retailers and their farmer customers that he had during the AAI showcase last week here in Altoona. We have that conclusion right now.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Daren Coppock. He is the president and CEO of the Ag Retailers Association. And Daren here today at the Agribusiness Association of Iowa Showcase. Daren, first of all, could you tell us, please, why it was important for you to be here today and getting the message out to all of Iowa's farmers?
Well, I love being out with the membership. I was raised on a farm, and so these are my people. But it's great to have an invitation from the Iowa folks to come out and share some thoughts with them. More importantly, to hear what's on their minds, because that really helps us do the job that we do in Washington.
It's a trusted relationship, and it's obvious that the retailer wants the farmer to continue to come to them for business, and so they're also going to try and provide that advice and that help along the way, I would imagine. Daren, where are some opportunities then right now? We talked about some of the storm clouds over the ag world right now, but where are the opportunities in the ag business world when it comes to the retail side that can really help farmers pull this rope all in the same direction?
So I think it's still fundamentally the same as it was in terms of the retailer finding technologies and practices that are going to help that grower become more efficient and more productive. I mentioned biologicals. That's such a huge new area. And in areas like California, where conventional chemistries are under even more pressure than they are in places like Iowa, biologicals have already come onto the market and replaced some of that. Now, one of the things one of our members told me about that is, I used to spray one product and get maybe 88% control. Now I'm spraying 3 or 4 products and getting 70% control. So it's not perfect. And if you added up all the claims that people make about those products, we ought to be able to grow 800 bushel corn, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. So there's a lot of chaff to be sorted through, but I think that's the crux of it, is the retailer is going to be able to help the farmer do that.
And with that entire management strategy for farmers right now, when it comes to tight margins, it all comes back to efficiency and maximizing the use of everything, doesn't it? Making sure that you're just getting that best return on investment.
Absolutely. Not just from an economic standpoint, that's certainly true. Don't want to waste money at having inputs, run off the field or things like that. But environmentally, you want to use your land, your equipment, your labor to the best use that you can, and be a responsible environmental steward. I don't know a single farmer, and I come from a farm family, who doesn't want to pass the land on to their next generation in better condition than what they received it.
And Daren, you were on the main stage here today at the AAI Showcase. Could you tell our Iowa viewers and listeners what you were on stage talking about today? What was your message?
So I was up there with my colleague and good friend, Corey Rosenbusch from the Fertilizer Institute, and we work together on lots of things. We even share office space with them and Crop Life America. So we were just answering some questions that Julie Kinney proposed to us from AI. But I think the most important thing that I would ask people to carry away is in the area of complying with the Endangered Species Act on pesticide applications. And specifically, if you're using a product that has those restrictions on it, check the Bulletins Live 2 website now, download what those restrictions are, because you've got a 6-month window then to operate in, that even if those rules change on the website, as long as you've got the document in your hand within 6 months of application, you're going to be okay.
So is that important to act on that right now?
I would. I mean, once you get in the spring season, you're not going to have time to do it. So I think I'd be doing it in the next month or so.
Daren, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa viewers, our Iowa listeners know about when it comes to anything you're working on with ARA right now, or just the state of the farm world, or any message you'd like to pass along?
Well, we continue to work on things legislatively in Washington. We're working on a seasonal ag CDL bill right now. Johnny Ernst, Senator Ernst, has been very helpful with that from an Iowa perspective. And so there will be opportunities like that as they come along. We have a fly-in where our members come to Washington in early March, March 2, 3, 4, and we'll spend a full day up on Capitol Hill with our team making the appointments. And it's not just a little thing. We've got about 100 people involved in it, and we'll do 130, maybe even 140 congressional visits in one day with ag retail. So they'll know we're in town by the time it's over.
He is Daren Coppock with the Ag Retailers Association. Daren, thanks so much for the time here today. Really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your visit here in the state of Iowa.
Thank you very much.
At the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, we deliver ag-focused content designed to complement your local radio station. From market updates to the latest ag news, our trusted farm broadcasters bring you the information you need while your local station keeps you connected to the heart of your community. And just like your local station, our broadcast team is Iowa-based, so we have feet on the ground across the state. Together, we're stronger for Iowa's farmers. This message from your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.
Well, of course, no ag markets today, as we've been talking about throughout the show. But as Dustin pointed out, the markets will reopen tonight for the overnight trading session, and then we will get back to normal tomorrow during the full trading day on Tuesday. So happy President's Day to everyone. Thank you to Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman. I'm Mark Magnuson. You've been listening to Iowa Ag Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of Iowa Ag Matters here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network.